Good morning students, welcome back to online classes of digital communication. So after examinations of your 5th semester, this is the first class and I hope you have all done very well in your examinations. So again we are starting up with the digital communication classes. In the last class, in the previous classes, whatever we have discussed, I'll just revise it once again. So in the previous classes, we have completely finished 2 units of your digital communication subject. So today I'll be going to start your third chapter, that is your channel coding. Okay, so before we move on to the next chapter, once we'll revise all the 2 chapters that we have discussed, so that you'll be getting an idea what the things that we have seen in your digital communication, because very recently you have done with your 5th semester examination, in which you have studied about analog communication. So you might be having a complete idea of analog communication now. So we'll revise once again about digital communication, why actually we need this digital communication, where these are used, and what type of information theorem or information coding what we have seen, what is information, what are the previous topics that we have discussed over there, that we'll see, and then we'll move on to our next unit, the fresh unit, that is your channel coding. Fine. So let's just see from the syllabus point of view. So what was the syllabus that you are having in the first unit? First one was your elements of digital communication system, in which we have seen the comparison between your analog communication as well as your digital communication in all terms. Okay, how we are going to see what is that comparison between your analog communication and digital communication in terms of your bandwidth, in terms of error correction and detection, which is less when compared, it is actually not possible in your analog communication. Okay, error correction and detection, when comes to the error detection and correction, which is possible in your digital communication. Fine. So we will be having less immune to the noise, where analog communication, and it is digital communication is more immune to noise, but we are having the capability that we can reduce that one. And when it comes to the complexity, then you will be having more complexity in your analog communication, and comes to the digital communication, it will be having less complexity. Synchronization is not required in analog communication, synchronization is required in analog communication. And comes to the security point of view, you will be having digital communication is more secure than that of your analog communication. So these are some of the points that I have already discussed in your previous classes. I will be sharing the link of the previous classes also. Please go through with that one. And we have seen how you are going to convert your analog signal into the digital signal. There is a digital communication system element, in which you will be having a sampler, quantizer and encoder, where your information signal, whatever you are giving, that will be sampled, which will be different in particular different intervals. You will be sampling that one, then afterwards you will be quantizing that one there in terms of your amplitude value, then you will be encoding, means you will be giving the values of zeros and ones to that particular one. Correct? So this is how you are going to convert your analog communication to the digital communication. And what are the quantization techniques that also we have seen? There are 2 types of quantization, right? What are the linear and linear quantization and non-linear quantization? Fine. Then we have also seen the encoding techniques. Then afterwards, which comes to your pulse code modulation, which was very important. In that one we have seen the compounding. What is compounding? The definition in terms of compression and expanding. Okay, wherever we require, we do compression as well as the expansion. In that we are having again 2 types, mu law compounding and A law compounding. Then we have seen the applications of your PCM, pulse code modulation, and then we have seen the digital pulse code modulation, delta modulation, adaptive delta modulation, and comparison of 4 pulse code modulation techniques, and signal to noise ratio of your pulse code modulation as well as your delta modulation. So these were the topics which are very, very important. Okay, there is no such topic which is not important in your first chapter. All the topics are important, and this is for sure you have to go through with this first unit. I hope you are all clear with the first unit. In case of any doubts regarding this first unit, any topic that you people have missed and you want to go through once again, now please let me know. I'll explain it once again for you. Oh, that was your first unit. When it comes to your second unit, which is also important, that is information theory as well as source coding. What is by information theory? What is meant by information? This I have already told and have given an assignment question in your Google form, like what actually information means. You will be transmitting the message, but in that one, if there is no information in that one, no content in that one, then it is not an information. Information is one in which you will be having particular important point in that one. Okay, so that means you will be having some particular probability of your message, the amount of information which has to be transmitted. Message I have given, if the message is long, means there is no information. There should be some information in your message. So that is what we call as information. And we have seen the information theory and definition and its formula and its properties. I'll just once again revise the definition of your information. If a communication system is considered which is transmitting the messages M1, M2, M3 or so on with the probabilities P1, P2 and P3, then the amount of information which is transmitted through the message MK. I am repeating it once again, please listen it very carefully. The amount of information which is transmitted through the message MK with the probability of PK, that can be given as IK is equals to log 2 of 1 by PK bits. So this is how you will be calculating the information. Okay, so in that one we have seen the uncertainty, which is an important topic for your short answers. Then you have seen the information that I have already told. Then we have seen the entropy. Correct. What is meant by entropy? Do you remember what actually it is? An entropy in average information, whatever you are having in that one, it is defined as the measure of average information which is per symbol. How many symbols you are transmitting, and in that one how much average information is present in that one is given by your entropy. So that formula also I will revise it for you once again. That is H is equals to summation K is equals to 1 to N Pk into log 2 of 1 by Pk. That is how you will be finding out the entropy. And again, in entropy we are having two different types, joint entropy as well as the conditional entropy. That also we have seen. Next comes to the topic of your source coding. Okay, so in that source coding, what is the main objective of the source coding? That is to minimize the average bit rate which is required for the representation of your source by reducing its redundancy and increasing the efficiency of your information source. So in that one, how we are going to find what you have to do? We have to reduce the redundancy, means the repeated bits, and you have to increase the efficiency of that particular symbol. So for that one, we are having two different types of coding, that is your Shannon-Fano coding and Huffman coding. I hope you remember the problems that we have discussed of your Shannon-Fano and the Huffman coding, which were very simple and easy, and you people have also done the assignment of that particular topic, right? Then we have seen the discrete memoryless channels. Okay, what are discrete memoryless channels? How you are going to see the discrete memoryless channels? In that one you are having binary erasure channel, binary symmetric channels, binary cascading channels. Okay, so what is actually discrete memoryless channels? That are defined as the path of medium through which symbols or the messages will be flowing to the receiver end. And why we are calling it as, what is meant by channel? Because we are transmitting through a particular path, and it is memoryless because we are not saving that particular, whatever the information we are getting, we are just transmitting it to the receiver. These are all channels. If I am the transmitter, so I am giving through a particular channel, so it won't be saving, it is directly giving it to the receiver end. So that's the reason we are calling it as memoryless. And when it comes to the discrete, because we are using it in digital communication, all discrete values will be given. So that's the reason we are saying it as discrete memoryless channel. Okay, because both whatever the information you are transmitting and it is receiving, they are in the finite one. So that's the reason we are calling it as discrete memoryless channels. We have also seen the mutual information, cascading information, right? So I hope you all remember how your binary erasure channel will be appeared, how we have seen the problems related to that one. What actually binary erasure channel is used for, it is having some important point in that one. Why? In case if the symbol whatever is received by the receiver which is having an error, so what it will be doing, it will be just marking as an error and it will be discarded. Again it will be retransmitted to the receiver saying that it is having some error, and you have to request that the transmitter should be retransmitting the correct and proper symbol. So this is how this binary erasure channel will be working. I'll repeat it once again. If the symbol is received with an error, it is just marked as an error and it will be discarded, and retransmission request is being given to the transmitter which is using a reverse channel. So that's the reason we are having a reverse channel till the correct symbol is received at the output. So at that time we will be retransmitting, we will be giving a request to retransmit the signal. So this was the last topic of your second unit. Now we are going to start our third chapter, that is what we call as your channel coding. What name itself you are having, channel coding. Why actually we need this coding for the channel, and what are the important points in that one, why? Okay, we'll see that one. So in this chapter 3 we are having channel coding. For the very first one, it is giving the types of transmission errors, how many different types of errors you are having, then why we need to control the errors, so need for error control coding, and the very important topic that you will be having in the third chapter is linear block codes. There is for sure 15 marks question from the third unit. There is no doubt you will be having. So this chapter is very important. So I request all the students to please do listen carefully the classes which we are discussing, we are telling to your people. Any doubts that you are having, please do let us know. So when it comes to the introduction of your coding theory or whatever you are having here, first we will see what actually is coding theory. So coding theory is all concerned with the transmission of the data across the noisy channels and recovery of that corrupted channels. As we already know, we are transmitting some messages or the data through a particular channel. Whenever the transmitter is transmitting the data through a particular channel, it has to be given to the receiver. So everyone knows that whenever you are transmitting the data through a channel, there is for sure some noise will be added to that one. So this coding theory is all about to find out what are the noisy channels which are present in that one, what are the errors that have occurred in your channel, and how we are going to recover that particular corrupted message. So it has found a widespread application in electrical and electronic engineering, in digital communication, as well as in your computer science, because in this all we will be using a particular channels, and obviously we will be having some errors. So the transmission of the data over the channel depends upon two parameters. They are transmitted power and the channel bandwidth. So depending upon these two parameters, we can say that there is a particular error which has been occurred in your channel. So I'll repeat this once again. The transmission of data over the channel depends upon the two parameters. First one is how much transmitted power you will be using in that one. So on that one we can say that up to which distance you are using this transmission, for long distance or short distance, as well as the channel bandwidth. So the power spectral density of the channel noise and these two parameters will be determining the signal to noise power ratio. So depending upon these two parameters, you are going to find out how much noise which has been added to your particular channel. So these are the two parameters. Depending upon that one, we can find out how much channel noise or the density of the channel noise is present in that one. So the signal to noise power ratio, that is determining the probability of error of modulation scheme, and it also say in that we can introducing the errors in the data when it's passing through the channel. And in this one only we are going to see what kind of errors are there. Okay, ma'am, and how this transmission errors will be used, what are the different types of errors will be there in your transmitting channel, and we also see what is the need for error control coding. Okay, why actually we need this error control coding. I'll explain this, please do listen carefully. So when a digital signal is transmitted between two systems, you are having two systems. Now I am transmitting a digital signal between this one. The signal will be get distorted because of the additional noise that has been transmitted, the additional noise to the transmitted signal, means your message signal. I am repeating it once again. When the digital signal is transmitted between two systems, the signal will be getting distorted because you will be having an additional noise that has been added up to your transmitted signal. So these noise, what it will be doing now, these will be introducing the errors. I am talking about the error control coding, need for error control coding. This topic I am going to discuss this one. The very first topic, okay. First I'll discuss need for error control coding, then I'll go for the types of transmission errors that I am having. Fine. So see first, when your the digital data is transmitted between the two systems, the signal gets distorted. Because of that one, an additional noise will be added up to your transmitted signal. Now what happens, these noise can be introducing the errors in your particular signal. So this means a 0 may be changed to 1 or a 1 may be changed to 0. Because we are transmitting the digital signals, these are digital binary signals, so the data will be from 0 and 1s. So it will be zeros and 1s. So whenever an error has been occurred in your message signal or the transmitted signal, then this 0 will be changed to 1 or this 1 will be changed to 0. So these errors may become a severe problem in the performance as well as the accuracy of your digital systems. So therefore it is essential and it is very important to detect and to correct as well as and to reduce or mitigate your particular errors which are being introduced in your transmitter signal when they were transmitted from transmitter to the receiver through a particular channel. So these errors will be becoming, I'll repeat it once again, these errors will become a severe problem in the system, because so that one what we have to do, it is very essential to detect as well as to correct the errors. As to improve the reliability as well of your data transmission, the designer has to increase the signal energy per bit to noise power density, and that can be given as EB by N naught. That I will be giving you what is actually EB by N naught. Okay, so EB is nothing but your signal energy and N naught is your noise power density. So these particular point signal energy per bit to the noise power density, that is EB by N naught, that has to be improved so that there will be a proper reliability of your data transmission. So some coding has to be used to fix this ratio theory, improving the quality of your transmitted signal. Therefore, we can say that if this particular point or this signal energy is increased, then you will be improving the reliability, so that one your errors, whatever you have detected in that one, that can also be reduced. Fine. So for that one, we all what we can say, whatever the channel you are having, in that particular channel you have to keep an channel encoder which will be accepting the message bits, and that will be adding the redundancy, thereby producing the encoded data at the higher bit rate. And at the receiver side, what it will be doing, it will be using a channel decoder which will be identifying your redundant bits and uses them to detect as well as correct the errors in the message bit if there are any errors. So thus number of errors which has been introduced due to the channel noise, they can be minimized by using your encoder and decoder. So that's the reason we need for error control coding. This is the need for error control coding. Okay, so what you are doing here, see, listen the topic very carefully. What I am saying, need for error control coding. We have a need to control this particular errors. I'll summarize this topic by saying, I'll briefly explain once again. So we have a channel through which you will be transmitting the signal from one system to the another system. So whenever you are transmitting the signal from one system to another system through a particular channel, some noise will be added for sure. So that noise will be, what it will be doing, it will be acting as an error. So these error, what happens, because you are sending that binary data ones and zeros, it will become a severe problem. It will be changing your ones to zeros and zeros to 1. So as to reduce that one, what we are doing, we are making a channel encoder or introducing a channel encoder block in the transmitter side, and we will be using channel decoder side at the receiver side. So what this channel encoder will be doing, it will be adding some redundancy bits. Redundancy bits are nothing but the extra bits. Suppose I give an example of 1100, 2 ones and 2 zeros is my data, that is what I am transmitting. So to that one I am adding extra 0 and 1, and that is your redundancy bit that is added through this particular channel encoder. Now that particular message is given through the modulator to a channel. In case the noise has been occurred, if there is an error also, that will be affecting only on the redundancy bits. So when comes to the receiver part, this channel decoder will be removing that redundancy bits which have been affected by your noise which have through the channel. So this is how you will be removing the errors. So at last you will be getting your original message signal at the receiver without any errors. So that's the reason we use the topic called as need for error control coding. So I hope you are clear with the previous topics that we have discussed and the first topic of your third unit. Okay, in case of any doubts, please do let me know, give the attendance and do maintain the notes also. Thank you.